All right, good morning. Today we're talking about our photography setups with our um, listings and with our how we do our business because we all have to take pictures. It's one of the drags of eBay and the online selling is we have to take pictures. But a picture can make or break our listings. And I truly believe that. And just tweaking a little bit of things about our listings can make a huge difference in how our things are being seen and how much they're selling for and all that good stuff. So it's a first impression of our items is, when people click on that picture or they choose not to click on the picture. So a clear picture also, I think, gives people confidence in our item. So it not only boosts our sales conversion rates, I think it also makes people have a little bit more confidence and hey, this person knows what they're doing. It looks good. Good photography can make our item look like it might be worth a little bit of a premium versus something bad. Because I know when I'm sourcing online, I go for the bad photos a lot of times because people aren't clicking on them. And sometimes you can find the good stuff in the pictures, right? Because it just doesn't look like it's worth it. Whereas somebody has really crisp, clear, nice pictures, they look more professional. They look like they know what they're doing. So just something to keep in mind. Some common issues that I've seen is inconsistent lighting is always a problem in the backgrounds. I am so not a fan of the AI backgrounds with pictures. I think it distracts from the item. And especially like in the jewelry category, like let's throw a dead plant in our picture. Like I hate that. I don't know why we feel the need to do that. Let's just showcase our item, have it be clean and nice. Of course, sometimes with clothing, you may need a mannequin. You may need props for jewelry. May need a prop. A prop is fine. A clean cut, nice prop. There's nothing wrong with it. But those AI backgrounds, I mean, like that bracelet looking like it's on a beach in the water is not doing anything for me wanting to buy it, right? And that's the whole thing is it may look pretty, but it's not really making me want to buy it, right? So I also think that those take longer for people to load like on their devices. It can kind of take some bandwidth. So I would advise against that personally. I don't like it. Maybe I'm just old school. I don't know. But it just distracts away from the actual item. Clutter in the frame, which to me kind of falls in the AI background, but there's lots of pictures on eBay where there's like a pack of cigarettes in the pictures or feet, right? We've all seen the feet pictures. Don't be a feet person with unless that's what you're doing because it's distracting. Or there's like a bunch of garbage in the back, or there's, try to make even if you are in a super cluttered workspace, it doesn't take a lot of effort to make a clean like 12 by 12 spot. That's all you really need. So clean white backgrounds, gray backgrounds. I don't really care so much about the color. I've seen some really nice blue backgrounds. Just having it all be the same color or close to the same color. Sometimes they're blurry or they're cropped wrong. Making sure that we're taking our pictures the right ratios and then having them come up right. So if you've never gone and searched eBay for your photos or for your listings, you should be doing that regularly anyway. But it's very good for us to see that because that's when I catch my bad pictures is when I'm scrolling on mine and doing a scrolling test. And all of a sudden I realize like why that necklace looks a million miles away and nobody's ever going to click on it. And I catch things like that all the time. And Larry's shown me, he's with his jewelry, it's gotten to where he does really good, like with those close-up pictures. Even if maybe it doesn't give a real clear picture of what the whole item is, it's interesting enough to make people click on it. And I think that that's kind of key with things that look, because a whole big necklace that's skinny in one whole frame, it gets lost. You can't really see anything about the color. You can't really see anything about the style. So those close-up interesting frames I think are really important with photography. Sometimes people don't give us enough photos or angles. Do you know how many times I've gone to buy brooches and I can't see the backs? Makes me just keep moving, right? So people always say, well, how many pictures should I have? You should have enough pictures to give me all the information I need to buy your item. So, please make sure that you're doing fronts, backs, sides. If there's any flaws, we need to be doing a close-up picture of the flaw. And even if there aren't any flaws, right? We want to maybe take one far away so you get the whole thing in the picture. Then just as many angles as what's needed. Don't take unnecessary pictures just to have more pictures, right? That's not necessary. I have some things I sell just fine um, with 5. right? And then I have others that have 20. It just depends on what the item is. If it's a signed piece or it has a tag, take a close-up photo of the tag. I do recommend taking a picture of the measurements or the and not just the end of the ruler. The end of the ruler will never win you a case with eBay because they can't see where you started measuring from. So it does nothing to just show the end of the ruler, unless you're showing width, and then you can see the whole thing. But if you're showing the length and you're just showing the end, they don't care and it'll never help you because how do I know where you started, where the other end of your ruler is, right? Or your measuring stick. I do like the reseller ruler, but lots of people make their own, and that is fine too. Like where that's like the crossbar for clothing. I think that works really great. I use literally just a metal like T in my light box and it works great. But you do need to do measurements. I see so many pictures without measurements, and I think that that really can lose you sales if you're not showing measurements. It's really hard on smaller items, especially to see how big something is. I don't know if you guys have ever bought some in an online auction or something and thought it was really small and then it was huge, or vice versa, where you thought it was big and it was like tiny. And it's hard to tell the scale of things sometimes. The editing, I'm not, so I do use the eBay photo editor on my first 2 photos. I'll brighten something up or I'll crop it down. So I'm not against that at all. I do not spend time editing every single picture because I don't think it's necessary and it's not really worth my time. However, I do on the first 2. I don't like the background removal. You guys know that. I think I can spot it a mile away. If I'm scrolling at eBay, I can tell you who's using the background removal because they look weird. They just look a little off. They look not authentic. They look fake. So, and I don't know about clothing so much because I don't have that experience, but in pictures with like jewelry and smaller items, the background removal every once in a while will catch a corner and just take it off and then you're missing a piece and you don't realize you're missing a piece and it'll take an edge off or not a huge fan. If you absolutely have to use it, of course, that's what it is, Catherine. There's no shadows. And our natural pictures have shadowing. So it looks like our items are floating. That's what makes it look fake. That's right. There's no shadowing. So try not to use the background removal. Just use the clean white background. And you know what works great? It doesn't have to be expensive. The clean sheet works great for a background. Yeah, well, yeah, why do we need to add a shadow when we can just take a picture of it? Yep. Like who wants to take all the time to add a shadow, you know? Just a clean white background, clean gray background, whatever. Throw a sheet down, whatever. Just we can all make clear backgrounds. I've seen the fake rug things, the fake flooring. I've seen that look really nice on people's the indoor outdoor like carpeting type thing. You can do lots of things for your clean background. And there's really no wrong or right. I just wouldn't use a busy background. Other than that, you know, whatever looks best with what you're selling is fine. And also over editing can cause issues with colors. I've had it happen with me. Like if you go to brighten a picture up too much, now all of a sudden it's skewing the color. And we don't want it to look better than it is in person either. Like that's just as bad, right? Because then somebody gets it and they're like, well, this isn't as vibrant blue as what it looked like in the picture. And then maybe it's because I touched it up a little bit and I made it look better than when they open the package and now they're disappointed because it's not as bright. So we don't want to over edit it to make it look too skewed too good if it really doesn't look that color. And you guys know in clothing, especially, you guys already struggle with people arguing about color sometimes. So the time involved removing background, that's right. We want to consistently with our photos do them as quickly, but as good also at the same time. Photography is one of my biggest time consuming things I do. And it's just because of there's only so much time you can shave off taking pictures. It takes what it takes. You know, I've got it down to where I can do 30, 35 about in an hour and a half. And that's probably about it. You know, I can get better probably, but that's going to be close. And it's just one of those grinds that we just have to do. And Russell and I were talking about it the other day, that it's a muscle memory, right? So when we're taking pictures, it really should be mechanical. We shouldn't have to really put a lot of thought into taking pictures. We should have a muscle memory and a system and a process. So with every single like item, we take them in the same order, in the same way, and it's just getting it done, right? It's just going through the grind, getting it done. It's the most boring thing of my day. I don't particularly care for photography. So I do it first thing in the morning. Then it's just done because otherwise I put it off and I don't want to do it and all that good stuff. So muscle memory with photography is super important. Um, so having a dedicated station, I think helps lots of this. I do see people spending a lot of money sometimes on a station that ends up not working. And then they're kind of reluctant to let it go because, well, I put all this money into it. But instead, ask questions, show us your results. We can help you with the lighting. We can help you with sometimes if we try to take pictures of small items in a big space, that becomes a little bit of an issue. I actually like I think it's 12 by 12. I have a mini photo box, and my 12 by 12 takes much better pictures than my 16 by 16. And I think it's a spatial thing and with shadows. I think it's the shadowing with the lights. So when I can get away with my 12 by 12 box, I have much better pictures and the lights are closer to the item. I don't know. It just takes much better pictures and it's a cheap 11 by 11 box. So it's whatever you get the best results with. There's people that have literally just regular daylight photo, like the light bulbs, and their station set up and they have great pictures and they didn't really spend hardly any money on it at all. Some people have a full box light setup. There's also people that will struggle with their lights till the end of time and still not feel like they have it right. Right. So when that happens, just reach out and ask for help because usually it's something that we've all gone through and we've all tweaked and been helped with. So if you're not getting the right angle, I was having trouble with the right angles on my bracelets. And I finally figured, I think it was Jessica had a really nice, they're just cheap, clear stands. They work fabulous. And you can't even tell they're in the picture, but it helps you get that angle on the bracelets. So let's see, let's see, I had the photo checklist. So if you were going to have to see what kind of photo setup you have and if it's correct or if it's the best for you, you need to write out your photo process if you're struggling with it, like if you were having somebody else do it for you. So you should be able to write out your process so that somebody else could step right into your shoes and take those pictures. So like front, back, close up of the details or, the tag or the signature, any flaws, how you do your measurements, um, tag. If there is no tag, then the measurements become even more important. And sometimes a group shot, if you have a set, I see something in like jewelry a lot that happens is people will be selling like a lot of 5 and the first picture is of 1. Well, the perceived value of that isn't the same. So try to have that group picture as your first picture. Is anybody struggling in one area or another with their pictures, or do we feel like we have them pretty well locked down? I think it's one of people's biggest bottlenecks. I think sometimes we're taking a lot more time with photography than we should. If we don't have a good process down, we don't have a good system down, I see how that could happen. Yeah, Catherine.
The only issue I have is I use a light box and um, I have a current iPhone and I have to set the iPhone setting at like +7 for brightness. And I still often get a really gray background that I have to lighten for the first couple of pictures. And I wish I didn't have to do that, but I don't know how to fix that.
Does anybody know? I don't use an iPhone. It's
If
trying to
anybody,
self-adjust for sure.
yeah. So if anybody has a way to fix that.
Are you talking about on uh white? Because I've noticed, so I have a gray background and that has helped offset the gray, believe it or not. So I used to use just white.
Yeah, it's
And
white.
when I was taking pictures of silver or something that wasn't bright and colorful, it would get totally washed out. So then I switched to gray, and my light box has where you can lower the brightness. Believe it or not, there's something about lowering, like for a dark, like if I'm using a black bust to take a picture of a necklace that is gold, if I get too close and it's too bright, it washes it out. So try switching to a like a muted not white, anything but white, because something about the white makes it like wash out for some reason.
Yeah.
Lynn
And
is
maybe I'll lower the brightness on my phone then too, a notch, and see if that helps.
if you can, yeah. Lynn's got a great setup, because I fussed with lights for a long time too, and I talked to Lynn, and then I just ended up copying her with her background, the gray. But yeah,
Oh,
lights.
Do you
gray is
use a
a
light
great,
box?
Yeah, I do.
So you
gray
just
is a
ordered
really
a
good,
gray background on Amazon?
So I couldn't find the right size.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing is I just got a piece of material. At first I was using the Cricut material, but that didn't work. So then I ended up just buying whatever size, like a large, it was too big, and I just cut it to fit my light box. But it's like a smooth vinyl, not vinyl, because vinyl's really shiny.
Yeah.
But it's like a plastic that doesn't wrinkle. You know what I mean?
Right.
you can
Yep.
use contact paper. You know, the
That
old contact paper we used to put in shelves and stuff, that works really
Yeah.
good for different backgrounds.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, thank you.
And they get the washable kind, because then you just wipe it off if it's gross.
Yep.
Catherine, does it
Thank you.
the item
Yeah.
or just the background?
Say it again.
Does it darken the whole item or just the background?
Background.
I wouldn't worry about it. As long as the item is prominent and got good color to it and the accurate colors. Because I use a gray background too. And the problem with gray takes on what other colors are there. So if you have a perfect gray background and you put white shoes in front of it, it's going to be a lighter gray. If you put a pair of black shoes, it's going to be a darker gray. It's just going to pick up the colors from,
From the item?
from the item itself.
Okay.
If the item is a little bit on the darker side, then the gray material will probably show up a little bit darker in the photo. But again, I've got plenty of shoes that I've sold, and clothing for that matter. Backgrounds are super light or super dark compared to whatever the item is that's being,
Mhm.
and I don't change anything and fix it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And just like Carolyn said, whiting out the backgrounds, that used to be a thing for Google search and all that, but we're
Mhm.
selling on Google. And if you go down the solds and look at the first 100 solds of any category that you're selling in, and just count how many are white backgrounds and how many are regular or with everything, you'll find that maybe two or three out of 100 white out the background, and all the other solds are without it. So it's just a waste of time at this point.
Yeah, yep.
They
Okay,
may look
thank you.
weird. And also be careful what photo props we are using, and maybe it's just a personal preference, but man, there are some creepy dead hands that people use to do photography with. Like, why are we doing that? Or the fake earlobes are the worst. Like, we do not need that. We do not, I don't know. It just creeps me out. But then I'm not a huge fan of modeling our own stuff either. Like, nobody wants to see, like, nobody's going to be looking at that necklace. They're going to be like counting age spots. Like, it's not a great look for me either.
I
So,
find I'm always cropping out my hand because I can't stand how my hand looks holding the
so my
item.
hand, I've come to terms with, if I lay it like this with the bracelets and stuff, it doesn't bother me. But the short shorts will beg to differ. See, Jake, I'm telling you, maybe that's the way to go on those. But nobody wants to see anything on my wrinkly hands either. But I try to smooth it out. I also try to like where my calluses are and my farm worn hands. I try not to, or gosh forbid you have a big cut. I don't know. Yeah, so Melanie, I don't know which way you went on that, but I don't like the gloves either. Like, I'd rather see just a white hand than a weird glove in the picture. It's just not, I don't know, it's just me. But I get, and if you have like a cuts on your hands or, just like, don't do it. Don't, if I'm going to try to have Jed help me take pictures if he's ever, his employment status changes, but he's not going to be able to use his hands. He's got working man hands. They are not going to work for jewelry. So we just will do something different.
What do you
But,
what do you think about like the pretty gloves, like a black satin or the white satin? Like, what do you think about
I think they
pretty?
look terrible.
Okay.
They look awful. I think it's like, what are you doing? Or like makes me go, what are you hiding underneath there? Like, why do we need gloves on? Like, I don't know.
Well, and especially like if I go to buy something on Whatnot, some people will have like the plastic gloves okay, all right, that's fine. But some people have those nasty like work gloves that are all worn and fuzzy on the edge of the fingers. And
The
I'm like,
plastic ones creep me out even worse because I'm like, what are we doing with these? Like, what?
it just looks
Why?
terrible.
We were looking at ThreadUp stuff, and ThreadUp people use like the medical looking gloves. It looks
Mhm.
bad. I don't like the medical ones, but that's what ThreadUp people use, is the medical ones.
Mhm. I don't like any of them. Like I don't know, just like wash your hands and don't have anything gross, and I'm good. Like wrinkly's fine, whatever's fine, but like just don't have it. Like I have seen lots of joy pictures, like open, gaping, hangnails and stuff. That's not a great look, but if they're clean and whatever, it's fine. And it also depends on your category. So I've seen lots of like the tool categories. Like if you have a hand that looks like it's done work and you're holding a big wrench in a picture, I can forgive it. It's different because it's category specific, but just as long as they're clean, it's not that big a deal. But I think we are spending too much time and overthinking our photography sometimes. Because why are we really shouldn't be spending more than, I mean, I can do it's about 2 minutes and 30 seconds is what it takes me to take all my pictures and start a draft per picture. Right? Clothes are going to be different because you guys have a little bit more to deal with. So they're going to take more time. Different categories are going to take more time. However, it shouldn't be a huge bottleneck and it shouldn't be taking us all day. And if it is, maybe it's one of those things where there's things that are good enough, right? When it can get us by and it's good enough. And sometimes we're overcritical of our items and we are overthinking it a little bit. So just make sure that we aren't um, taking more time than what's necessary in the pictures. So Larry, sorry, you're first because nobody else volunteered. Oh, actually, hey, Wagner sent me a picture. I forgot. And I've seen Wagner's picture and it was good. Like I like his setup a lot. Let's see. Let me open it now. Do you have it where you can open it, Wagner? Or can anybody else open that file? It doesn't let me open it. It says I need an extension or something crazy.
Yeah.
Here, Larry, let's get you first. Can you go first? I know you don't
Yeah, I
wanna
can go.
forward.
Let me
Unless I
share
gotta
my,
yell at my kid.
can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
So this is a corner in my garage that had this cabinet up here on the top. I've been dragging around these shelving units that I picked up from a carpenter 20 years ago or so, and they work out really well as a work surface. I put it down, put a board on it. I've been using this method since I started doing this a couple years ago with a piece of vinyl that I picked up from Joann's Fabric. Um, I recently picked up this light at a garage sale. It was brand new in a box for $10, and it turned out it was just a little oversized for this cabinet, but it worked out fine. Screwed that up into here, and then I picked up these from Amazon. They were like $35 for two of them. They were basically the cheapest photography lights I could get. They came with some hardware, but I really like using these bendable things. Again, both of these were lights that I picked up at garage sales for $1, and I took the light off of it and then mounted the thing on the lights onto this. This was working out really, really well for me. I get a really bright, I don't have to worry about reflections anymore. I used to have reflective reflectors, and I don't have to worry about that. Here's the same thing from a different angle. And I can, these are articulated, so I can bend them around and I can do them above, below, whatever. And it really, really does a great job with the shadows. Off to my left, here's all my tools, my rulers. I got some of those pointer things, my lighter for getting rid of fuzz off of shoes. My brush is great for getting that last minute dust. I use Play-Doh, a little pinch under an earring or something to get it to lay flat as I'm photographing it. That works out really well. I got a little fuzz thing here. for if I got a shoes that has little pills, etc., miscellaneous tools. Here's a couple of shots that I'm able to get with my phone. I picked up these this weekend. I'm really glad. Those are kind of cool. One problem with this type of photography though is it really exposes your dirt and your scratches. You can see every single flaw, but I'd much rather sell something and show everybody all the little flaws than let them wonder. I picked this up this weekend too. But notice I had the light on the left side. I forgot to turn it on the right, but you see the shadows on the right, less so on the left. So this has really helped out. Here's a close up showing the size, and then Carrie, you mentioned that the abstract zoom in look. I did this for this piece and it sold in like 3 days. And the second picture was a zoom out that showed truly what it was, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people stopped on this just because of the abstract art aspect of it. But that's my setup. Oh, one other thing, all of these are the same lights. These are LEDs, these are LEDs. Before I had a mix of fluorescent and incandescent, and it was really hard to get the white balance dialed in. And so by going with all LED, it's much easier for me to get decent white balance on my photos.
No, I like that setup. And it's really important to have a setup that doesn't have the shadow issue that we struggle with. And I like that. I like those close-up pictures because it doesn't have to necessarily represent the whole item. It has to get people's attention to click on it.
Right.
All right. Well, can you open that, Wagner, and share your screen by chance? Because it is still not, will not let me open that file. It says it is.
You cannot see the picture I just sent?
Here, I got it.
You got it, Russell? Thank you.
Minute. Oh, let's see. I just got up. Where in the hell did it go? All right, I'm sharing my screen. Where did the Zoom go? Well, hang on a second.
Down in your bottom toolbar.
I gotta do this first, I think. There. How's that?
There you go.
Great. So what you got, Wagner? Go ahead and tell us about it a little bit.
When I first started, I just built that table. It's 6 feet long by 4 feet wide, and I put an angle. So when I put clothes on, I can put, long pants, dress, and then at the edge, I do all my shoes. But I can pretty much take all my pictures over there. And I have those 2 big lights and then a ring light on the on the left side. So that's where I take all my photos.
And it looks like the two of us bought the same steamer from Amazon too.
Yeah. Now that steamer actually I got in a garage sale.
Did you? It's the same exact one I got.
Yep. Yeah.
Is that
All right, awesome.
is that a cloth, tablecloth, or is it?
Yeah, it's
vinyl?
just a white piece of a cloth. Yep.
How often do you have to wash that?
I try to do once a month or depend how dirty it gets. When I do a lot of shoes and then I have to wash more often.
All righty. Thank you, Wagner. Thanks, Russell. I appreciate it.
No worries.
All right. Anybody have any questions about their photography? Does anybody struggle with it or feel like they take too long with it? Or are we all pretty dialed in on our picture taking?
I struggle with getting my phone to zoom focus correctly if I'm zoomed in too tight. So a lot of times I have to zoom in, but move the camera way back, and then I have to crop the heck out of it. But it works if you got enough pixels to work with. But
Yeah, and also like my biggest problem is like rhinestones and stuff, it'll blur on them when things are too sparkly. They are really hard to take a good picture of. So I have to always make sure to go back and check them.
I didn't get a chance to take a picture of my setup, but I have, I originally bought 4 big light foam boards from Walmart, I think it was. And just made a little light box, no, not light box, but just a little white area in there. I since removed the both sides of them, the either side of them just have like a one in the front and one flat on the table. But then I also use I got a really big long roll of poster or banner paper, I think it is, from Walmart as well. And I just unroll a little bit at the time and put it all over my workspace. And then that way, when it gets dirty, I just tear it off and move a little bit more down, and I think it costs like $8 like 5 years ago, and I'm still not even a quarter of the way through it. So, but I use a setup similar to Larry, that I have a ring light overhead and 2 ring lights on either side. And that's the biggest thing, is to get rid of all the shadows and everything, and you're fine. Then you don't really have like any of those dark edges any place, you know what I mean? Dark spots in your photos. And yep.
Carolyn, what color is that paper you're using?
I use white. I just use white with everything. It's
Okay.
fine for me. I'm not worried about the gray background. If I had to have a problem with my white balance or anything, I use my gray card, and it's usually pretty good. It's good enough. It's good enough. So, and like Carrie had said earlier in the call, I hadn't photographed shoes for a while, but Russell got me on the kick to get sandals, women's sandals up, which have been selling like hotcakes. And I tell you, when I got back in the photo in them, I'm just like, man, talk about muscle memory. It was like boom, 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 and you just turn them every single way. And haven't really done many shoes for the better part of a year, and I was just like, damn, this is easy. And I'm like, I don't want to go back there, but I'm just getting rid of them. So, but yeah, when you really get honed in on something, it really makes the process so much easier. And I'll tell you, don't obsess over stuff, because for years I struggled with everything, trying to find the perfect light or waiting to find the great background. And the time I could have, listed so many more items in that time. If you're following all of Carrie's advice and everything in the group, you're already like 90% ahead of everybody else that's selling on eBay. So it's good enough to sell. You'll do it.
Yep. Sometimes we obsess about things that aren't necessarily important with it, but the first 2 pictures are really important. So I'd make those look the best you can. But after that,
Harry posted something on the Facebook for his lighting
see it.
setup.
Yeah. And here is Crystal's, while I'm looking for that. Here's Crystal's light box, which is similar to what I use, but I don't use the front part.
Yeah.
So I just
use
the open.
it has all those options with the front, but I just use it the way it is in the bottom right.
Yep,
And
me too.
I have it on a plain folding table, which is at a 90-degree angle to the table I use as a desk. So I just can turn from my laptop over to my light box. And under the table, I have 2 of those fabric cube boxes where I keep all my display items. Oh, I forgot to turn on the video. This is for you, Carrie. One of those horrible hands, wood hands. Can you see it?
I see it.
I never use that as the first picture, but I do sometimes use that on my bracelets for a later picture. But anyway, in those fabric boxes underneath, I keep all my display items, like my necklace bust and my little square for measurements and things like that. So that's all there is to my photo setup.
Yep, me too. Mine's super, super easy. And here I'm looking for Harry's post. And then I'll share my screen. Oh, yep, I see it. Share.
Open resale.
So he's photographing trumpets and saxophones and other horn instruments, right?
Yep.
I bet it's the trombone that forces it to be that big. Well, plus he does clothes, doesn't he?
Yes, sometimes.
Purses.
Ah,
He does pick up some pants and clothing though. Not tons of it from my understanding, but he does get some.
see how he blacked out the backside of that ruler? That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of the company logo and the made in China and all that.
The only problem with the ruler is you have to hope that whoever's buying knows how to read a ruler. You'd be surprised how many people.
Anytime. You called.
That's a 4-minute video.
That's funny for the roller that he blacked it out. I actually painted mine and got rid of what it said, and I put the name of my store on it.
There you go.
Do you guys use that little fold-up thing? Does anybody else use that?
Used one once and now it's sitting in a pile.
What fold up thing are you? Oh, the that folds your
T-shirts.
clothes.
Flip and fold.
Takes too much time.
Yeah.
I used to have one. I loved it because I cannot fold a shirt in my life dependent on it.
By the time you wrap it up and it goes in a poly bag and gets sent through the mail, it shows up bundled up in a big ball anyway. Unless you're using cardboard inserts.
Oh, he's got a steamer there.
He does use or have clothes.
He puts them in milk crates.
So he's got two different photo setups. He's got the one for his instruments. He's got this one on the floor. Must be nice to have space.
In closing, just so you guys know, that looks really great, Harry. You did a great job, but that looks horrible. I have no idea why I'd want to crawl on the floor and have to take pictures of anything. So I got spoiled doing jewelry is all I'm trying to say. I can set a light box anywhere and take my jewelry pictures because clothing looks tedious. So hands down for you guys that make that work and make it look easy because I've seen Harry take his pictures and he makes it look easy.
Yeah, I kind of laughed to myself when you said, even though if you got a bunch of clutter, you can still clear up a 12 by 12 space.
Well, that's
I gotta
all I
have this,
need.
I know, but I gotta have the size of space of a 6 by 8 or 4 by 8 piece of plywood.
Yeah, I can see that with stuff I forget. But my little mini light box can go about anywhere. So I've used it in the car. I've used it about anywhere. So it's pretty handy. All right, guys, I appreciate you. I'm gonna shut this off here. Larry is next with his Reseller Repair Workshop, and he's talking about replacing waterproof watch batteries, which is probably pretty great.